Aftermath of the deadly Palisades fire, new information's come out over how the LA Fire Department communicated with the public.
That's right. A new LA Times article is showing donated money was used to hire a celebrity PR firm to help craft the department's response about the fire and its own response. We're joined live by LA Times investigative reporter Alene Tchekmedyian. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, this sounds like another layer of mess to the aftermath of the fires. So tell us, what exactly did the LAFD pay the celebrity PR firm to do after the fires? How much did they spend and who paid for it?
So we learned that the LAFD Fire Foundation hired the celebrity PR firm to help the fire department leadership with its public messaging after the Palisades fire, which of course they were under a lot of scrutiny for because of their various failures, including their failure to send extra resources to the Palisades that week ahead of the wind event, and their failure to properly put out the Lockman fire, which was the earlier fire on January 1st that days later rekindled into the Palisades fire. So the foundation brought in this firm for the LAFD. It's one that represents big celebrity names like Rihanna and Reese Witherspoon to help provide guidance to the fire department on how to shape the narrative. And, the foundation confirmed that they hired the firm for the LAFD, but wouldn't say much beyond that, including how much it costs. So we don't know the answer.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, is there's been so much concern about transparency. We've talked about that since the beginning of this whole horrible situation. Why haven't leaders said how much they've spent or what work was done?
That's a good question. Other than acknowledging that the firm was hired after the fire, we don't know a whole lot more about what exactly they did because the fire department and the foundation are not answering questions about it. They won't say how much they spent. They won't say whether the firm was involved in edits to the after action report, which is a report that's supposed to kind of be a critical look at mistakes made during the fire response. They won't answer what time period the firm was working for the LAFD or whether the mayor's office was involved in those meetings and discussions. We've also posed similar questions to the mayor's office and haven't heard from them either about them. We did interview Fire Chief Jamie Moore about this as well, and he met with the firm very briefly during his first couple days in office as they were kind of doing their closing out meetings, and he thanked them for their work, but he said he doesn't know what exactly they did or whether they were involved in editing the after action report.
Right, and I know part of the reason is because Ronnie Villanueva at the time was in charge. He was the interim chief, and so there's kind of a change of power, it seems, in between all of this happening, which makes it even harder, I'd imagine, to get answers.
Right. There was a different fire chief at the time, and the new fire chief said he's not really going to dig into what happened during that time.
Did you find that odd that he's just says, I don't know why we hired him, and okay?
You'd think that he's gotten a lot of criticism for that because you'd think that if he, wanted to make improvements and changes, that he would want to take a critical look at how those decisions were made in the past.
Right.
Well, do we know at all, you said that the PR firm, hasn't made any, they didn't say if they made any changes to the department's official after action report. Have they said exactly what they were hired to do? Is there any, or they just were hired?
The foundation has only said that they were hired to provide communications support, and, the fire chief said that they probably gave, guidance to and advice to the fire chief. We know that internally the fire department was worried about how the after action report was going to be received by the public. Before the report was even completed, the LAFD had put together an internal crisis management team. They identified the report as a major upcoming crisis, and they wanted to get together to kind of plan out how they were going to respond to public inquiries about it. And, we also learned that the after action report, when it was completed, was edited. The author had turned in his final draft, and it was edited after the fact to sort of downplay the city's failures in their preparation and response. So there's a lot of questions about who made those edits, whether the firm was involved in that, and, who else was guiding those decisions.
You've covered these types of situations before. Obviously, we had the Woolsey fire in 2018. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
I think that it's always, I haven't really seen a PR firm be
Yeah.
hired. Sometimes they have internal communication support staff that helps with communicating with the media and the public.
Right.
Interesting. And the most frustrating thing I think about your article, reading it, do you think you'll get any more answers here? It seems like everybody's passing it on to someone else.
We're certainly going to keep trying.
Right.
Yeah, well, we're grateful
We hear
for that.
that. Alene, thank you so much for being with us this morning and for your great reporting.
Thank you so much for having me on.